Hey there, guess what? If you're a farmer, you can have your low tunnels paid for by the NRCS. They have this cool new program where farmers can get $4 to $5 for each square foot to help with a quick hoops low tunnel system, frames and fabric included. It's like free money to help you grow more stuff on your farm. Want to learn more about quick hoops and the NRCS program? Click on the link below. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was watching one of your presentations you did, and normally I'd see a dung pat and I'd think whatever it is, 15 inches in diameter, and think, oh, yeah, no, that's like mulch on the surface. It's good. You're saying, hey, one cow could cover up to 1 square meter per day, can take up to 3 years to degrade. So it's a long time. And I guess it's just like a frisbee, right? You're a plate, dinner plate, you just put it on the ground, you have this thing that gets crusted over, nothing grows through. You're probably getting some worms and stuff that break down from the underside, but it takes a while to fully break that up. Is the dung beetle then its biggest role in this is a mechanical decomposer? Like it takes that thing that would harden into that solid crust and it breaks it up so it can't form this little plate?
Yeah, you're exactly right. They're, as I said, being some of the biggest critters out there, they're just so good at taking that, what is this, like you said, plate, frisbee kind of thing that's plopped on top. And after you come back after 4 or 5 days, it almost looks like Swiss cheese in when you've got a lot of, there's holes all over. In some cases, they're moving it by fractions of a gram at a time. But if you've got these pair of beetles that are pulling it away, burying it, moving it out, and it's incredible just how this community comes together so quickly. And after just a couple of weeks, you can start seeing new grass growth coming through, because that, for those dung beetles that are taking the dung and the tunnelers who are burying it, it's that bioturbation. So they're taking that, they're not burying it very far, but they're taking amounts of that dung, and instead of sitting at the soil surface, they're pulling it just little by little underneath the soil surface. And so the existing plant roots can access those dung pats in the same way roots can't. If they're underneath the soil surface, they can't come up and take advantage of that dung pat. But if it's pulled down where they can get to it, so much more of the nutrients that are still within that dung pat from the plant's perspective that becomes accessible to these plant roots or the incredibly diverse microbial community that's living within that soil. And they can access those things, and that leads to the adjacent plant growth to have a leg up in the subsequent season and have so much more access to nutrients. Because if you had those dung patches sitting there and frying in the sun, that's some amount of nutrients that is going to just sit there or be lost to the sun, and that's going to be a net loss of carbon, of nitrogen, of all these nutrients to the system. And so for that pasture to be, to use the word regenerative, to have these constant cycles going on where a grower isn't putting on fertilizer in the way that you would a intensive cropping system, that these grasses are perennial, are able to, when they've got a really good, healthy insect community, have access to these nutrients and keep going without a whole lot of management from the rancher's perspective, outside of every year, 2 years, however long, running the cattle through those grasslands.
Do they only colonize dung from, or maybe this is the definition of dung? Does it have to come from ruminants?
No, it's funny. You'll read scientific papers where they're in places that aren't on a cattle ranch, where they're just trying to assess dung beetle community. And when the authors are writing out locally sourced human dung was used for our traps, and that it was human dung from their own research team that they were using to bait these traps when they're out in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. So I always chuckle at that. But that's just to show that whatever's available, oftentimes they're going to be happy to do it. And there are some relationships evolutionarily that these community of dung beetles, because what's available, these dung pats from these large ruminants are what's historically been available. And so those are the species that have succeeded a whole lot and take advantage of it. But whatever's available, they're more than happy to take advantage of. But when you've got in a pasture 50 cattle that, as you said, can leave up to a meter of dung on the soil surface, you're not going to find a more reliable source of food than that.
Yeah, I was just thinking like horses, things like that, which we have them out here, and there's just a lot of people have horse properties, and there's so many flies.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen in horse dung, I've seen dung beetles in my backyard. If I'm too slow to pick up my dogs, every once in a while you'll flip it over and I'll find a dung beetle or two. I'm probably the rare weirdo who's looking at my dog's poop that close. But yeah, they're happy to fly in, and if they can find some dung, they'll take advantage of it.
If you enjoy this podcast, then be sure to check out Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, where you can get your daily dose of farm wisdom. Tune in every day to learn the latest tips, tricks, and stories from the world of farming. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just getting started, our podcast has something for everyone. Join us as we explore topics like farm business, crop planning, soil management, and tools and technology. Start your day off right with Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe today.